staying on the subject of Tucker Carlson, I want to walk you through some of the context, past clips, contextualizing the way that Tucker Carlson built what is now Tucker Carlson, the way that he shaped this dishonest character, this person, this persona he would put out to the public, that would help him become rich and famous and relevant all the time, that wasn't at all authentic. And you and I know that, but so many don't, as we talked about in the last segment on today's show. Starting off with him in a past clip in 2003, calling out the fact that Bill O'Reilly, who used to be a host on Fox News, is just playing a character. And he pretends to be this everyman who cares about the average American. But if it's ever revealed that he is not, then it's all over for him, because his whole thing, his whole shtick is this character that he plays. Well, Tucker Carlson back then was calling that out, but likely learned from this recognition and eventually allowed it to inform the character he created.
Another quote from your book: Bill O'Reilly's success is built on the perception that he really is who he claims to be. If he ever gets caught out of character, it's over.
That's right. I say before that Bill O'Reilly's really talented. He's more talented than I am. He's got a lot more viewers than I do. He's a better communicator than I am. But I think there's kind of a deep phoniness at the center of his shtick. And again, as I say, the shtick is sort of built on this perception that he is the character he plays. He is every man. This kind of he's not right-wing. He's a populist. This kind of Irish Catholic populist fighting for you against the powers that be. And that's great as a shtick, but I'm just saying the moment that it's revealed not to be true, it's over. The moment he gets caught, slapping a flight attendant on the Concorde for not bringing his champagne fast enough, or barking at, one of his subordinates to take the, brown M&Ms out of my bowl and get me a bottle of Evian, or something like that. The second that makes Page Six, it's over, right? Because the whole thing is predicated on the fact that he is who he says he is, and just nobody is that person, especially not someone who makes $1 million, or many millions a year, as he does.
Let's just set aside the thing that I observe every time I watch that clip, which is the very specific examples that he cites there. You came up with those far too easy there, Tucker. But more importantly, him being able to identify it is phoniness that made Bill O'Reilly successful. Now, that recognition is not wrong, number one, and it's not bad to recognize that at all. But now that we know the phoniness of Tucker Carlson, I think that very process he was going through back then of identifying that, seeing the success of the phoniness, and he first tried out to be the person, or attempted to be the person who calls it out, but then realized I could just be that person, and I could just create a character of my own. And then we get to a clip from 2006 where he's talking to an audience about how dangerous it is for the general public to not be bought into one truth about the basic facts of the world, and that's why news that gives you facts is so crucial. And I'll talk about why this is relevant to the creation of the modern Tucker Carlson in a second.
In a democracy, it is vital that citizens have a common frame of reference for reality. There has to be a place where all citizens can go and look at facts about what happened yesterday and say, you know what, I agree that that's probably roughly what happened. The electorate's confidence in the news being real is all important. You see this when you go to other countries that don't have a history or a tradition of a straightforward, honest press, like places like Pakistan, where I've spent a lot of time, where the press has always been dishonest, every newspaper is an organ of a political movement or other. And people have come over time to become really cynical about the press. They don't believe anything that is written in newspapers because they assume all of it is just another man's view. All of it is bias. And so in the absence...
And then he continues to make that point. When you don't have an agreement societally on just some basic facts, then it really goes downhill very quickly and is very dangerous. And before I do more analysis here, one more clip, and then we'll discuss. And it all connects very interestingly.
Wanted to solve that problem.
And this was in 2009.
If you create a news organization whose primary objective is not to deliver accurate news, you will fail. You will fail. The New York Times is a liberal paper, but it's also, and it is to its core a liberal paper, it's also a paper that cares about whether they spell people's names right, by and large. It's a paper that actually cares about accuracy. Conservatives need to build institutions that mirror those institutions. That's the truth. You don't believe me? The New York Times? You don't think...
And you see the reaction from the audience. So in the previous clip, he recognized the danger of completely detaching as the media from basic facts. That clip you just watched there from 2009, I think this was at CPAC, he's saying we need to build conservative institutions that, yes, have a conservative bias. Bias is present in all of these different facets of reporting and news, but cares about the basic facts and accuracy. And so give the reader a conservative viewpoint, give even in story selection a conservative bias may be present, but care about the accuracy at a basic level is what he's talking about there. He gets booed. And that is representative of what he learned moving forward, likely through the years, where it wasn't until he leaned into completely just zero deference to the facts, zero value of the facts, and just valued viewership, just valued provocation and division and fear for the purposes of getting more viewership. And now that he leaned into that, he is more famous than he's ever been, more wealthy, more relevant, more powerful, all those things. And so you see the progression. He sees in Bill O'Reilly this character that you can create on television that a lot of people will buy into within the conservative movement, and he's critical. He sees the necessity for accurate conservative news and then sees the backlash to that very idea, and then eventually started either very consciously or subconsciously creating that character for himself and devaluing any care for the facts and valuing only viewership, only short-term benefit for him. And now we have the modern Tucker Carlson that is privately saying all these claims of the election being stolen with the machines flipping the votes from Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani, bonkers, but then publicly perpetuating those very same lies. Privately saying he hates Trump passionately, publicly being very supportive of Trump. And on it goes. The saddest part, though, is that unfortunately, even if the viewers who watch Tucker Carlson heard what I've laid out and the specifics of the defamation lawsuit against Fox, revealing in so many clear ways the dishonesty of individuals such as Tucker Carlson, many of them would still tune in to Fox News. They would still tune in to even Tucker Carlson. Because while, yes, many people on the left, center, right, all people can fall into just wanting to hear what they already believe. But there is another level within the current political, especially far right, Tucker Carlson style right wing, that truly values being told that the world is as they either want to believe or as they've chosen to believe over as it actually is. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get the full bonus show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley. Link in the description.